Everyone has been talking about this since the video emerged on social media, and that is about a parade in County Mayo that depicted cases related to the Epstein files.
Yes, and here to talk about that and everything else that's making the papers this morning is the Communications Clinic's Lorcan Nyhan. Good morning to you, Lorcan. Every radio show had this yesterday. People were viewing it online. Tell us about this float that was part of the Ballinrobe Paddy's Day parade.
Yeah, so look, obviously there'd be a theme in the last number of years of people trying to do kind of current affairs topics in the St. Patrick's Day parade, and they got it wildly wrong this time in Ballinrobe in County Mayo, where they had a float that was about the Epstein files, and they had like a jail for Andrew within it, and then there's a mattress there, and they're just depicting sexual assault, rape, violence, horrible stuff, and they're depicting it in a parade. Parades are for children. Even if it wasn't for children, it is genuinely shocking is probably the word in that I'm shocked. I was surprised that there was nobody at any stage who thought, hang on here a second.
Yeah.
This is not funny. This is not something to be found funny. This is not something to joke about. And I know now every criticism of anything is woke and we're not supposed to criticise anything, but this is just shocking. It is just not something that should be on a parade float. But there is that thing consistently of like sexual assault, like is made a joke of, like even to the point of like, prison sexual assault is a constant punchline in films, and it should be something we should just move on from because it's not funny. And there are people at that parade who are watching that, who have been victims of this, who must have been absolutely sick to their stomach. And look, the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre have come out very, very strongly about this.
They definitely did. Yes, they said they were getting calls that people had seen it online and were triggered, and that this is the reason why a lot of women don't come forward and a lot of men don't come forward to report these crimes.
This is also about paedophilia.
Yeah,
throw that out there as well.
They were handing out sweets to children as part of it.
Yeah.
And it's I suppose when you look at it, like you can look at the specific issue and you can know how did he let it in the parade, and the parade say basically they don't vet, they just let the local community come through, and it was in 3 towns across the west the same float.
Surely they should be, that this is they said, we don't do vetting, there is no vetting process due to the informal community-led nature of the event.
Yeah.
So that's fair enough. So anybody can turn up with blasphemy, anything put on their thing, and they're just let to go down the streets.
I think the thing is, when you say that, if there was some things put on there are things that would be stopped. There are definitely. It's not like you could do anything you wanted on the parade float. There are things that would be stopped, and this wasn't, and it should have been, and it should be better. But
straight away,
we do need to look at the fact, like what were the lads who were on the float thinking? Like, what does that say about the mindset?
We're talking about the manosphere in about 6 minutes,
and a lot of this gets put down to what happens online, what happens in WhatsApp groups. Now we're like, what happens on St. Patrick's Day parade floats? Like, if you're willing to do it there, what the hell are you saying elsewhere? What are you saying when you're in private?
But Lorcan, that was my thing. I was going, these lads are on this. They thought this would be funny to dress another lad up, lie him on a bed and pretend to be sexually abusing him and then do all that. Like, what kind of men are they? Just incredible.
I'm sure you've heard a lot of people have their say on this. Again, we don't want any hate spread online in relation to this. Yes, there are people who are very angry, but don't be going targeting specific people. 0896 111 111 to get in contact. We're going to move on to a story that is all over the place because it feels like the government are finally going to intervene in relation to oil prices. We saw yesterday that Iran's biggest oil field was struck and Iran have retaliated.
Yeah, so look, there's a significant escalation here where Israel targeted the Pars field between Qatar and Iran, which means, and then Iran retaliated by attacking an energy centre in Qatar. So, obviously that's going to have a massive effect on oil prices. This is coming on the back of the fact that the New York Times were reporting that one of the initial strikes by Israel on the oil field from Iran was because they really wanted the image of black smoke to be going over Iran, that was part of the logic for the strike.
Sorry, say that again, please.
According to the New York Times, that part of the reason for the initial oil strike in the first bombing of Iran was they wanted the images of the black smoke across it.
You can AI that, lads.
Of course, that's what New York Times, that's just reportage, but we don't know. But so that's the level of thought process that's going into some of this stuff.
It's like they're playing war games. You know, the things that are being released by the White House that looks like a 15-year-old is making a video game at home. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to see the knock-on effects of it in terms of oil and energy prices in Europe. So coming from the Straits, 80% of the oil and gas that comes from the Straits actually goes to Asia. So Europe don't take a huge amount of it. But because Asia now won't have access to it, there's going to be huge competition
for the
which
oil.
Means obviously that people are going to be increasing prices. There'll be knock-on effects here. So the government via Simon Harris have kind of started saying, look, we will take measures. Now, they have said that they're going to be taking appropriate measures and they should be for a short period of time. So I think for people who are looking at their own energy bills, this is not going to be the same as what happened after Ukraine. I don't think there's going to be huge carte blanche measures in terms of, subsidies, etc. It's going to be more targeted. It's going to be about economic measures.
Like they can do a double fuel allowance at Christmas and stuff like that. Why can't they just introduce that very quickly?
Yeah, it's unlikely, but I think it's unlikely they're going to do that this time. So if you look at what they've done in Portugal, is they've cut taxes on diesel, that's for hauliers. What they've done in Greece is they've put a top on corporate profits you can get from selling fuel, which I think is an interesting idea.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
But it's those kind of measures that are happening across Europe.
Oh, they're hitting the corporate, a top on corporate profits.
That's what they're doing in Greece anyway, yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting because I know lots of people are talking about the hauliers, but in the Clare Champion I was reading about carers not being able to afford in rural areas to make it to the beach, because when you're talking about counties like Cork, like Mayo, they're spending a fortune now to try to get to their clients who need help. So some measures, we've got to think about things like this. 0896 111 111 to get in contact in relation to government measures and what's going on. And if you are a carer or someone who has to drive for their job, what are the effects that you are seeing already for you? Now we're going to move on to something just a little bit
different.
Lighter. A survey found that almost half of divorcees said that their partner's snoring contributed to the breakup.
Half?
Yeah, so 2,000 people were surveyed, and these are people who had divorced, and then they said that part of the reason for the divorce was that was snoring. That's for half of them, so that's the 1,000 people there. And then part of it was because that they may have ended up sleeping in a separate bed because of the snoring, and then there's a loss of connection, and then therefore that led to the divorce. Now, I think some of this might perhaps be retrospective in that I'd say if the marriage was already breaking down, I'd say the snoring is a little bit more annoying. And you go,
Well, if you're not sleeping,
then you might be more irritable and running through. And also, I think if you're already in a the relationship isn't as strong as it might be, I'd say every snore cuts a little bit deeper than if you're looking at them lovingly as they sleep.
They're snoring and you're just going, will you shut up? We all arm over just to keep the... Bang them.
I've coughed my way through the last 3 nights just because there's a tickle in the back of my... And I feel so bad. And I was like, no, I'll go into the other room. And he was like, no, it's fine. Because I've got... I know, isn't that lovely?
But in 2 years' time, he'll be doing a survey and he'll say, do you know what started it all?
Mirren's cough ended it all for me.
But if you are a chronic snorer, a CPAP machine...
Oh, there are remedies out there,
And that's part, I think, so the survey was actually from a medical company, and I think part of the reason for that survey was you can solve your snoring, you don't need to get divorced.
Yeah, don't get divorced, you can solve the snoring.
The most annoying sleeping habits, from eating toast in the bed to the snoring. 0896 111 111. We would love to hear from you. Lorcan Nyhan from the Communications Clinic, thank you so much for joining us.